ready to go every time. It doesn't always tell me exactly when it's recording, but usually it's before it says it's recording, so we're good to go. We are going to be today looking at another Terran versus Protoss game, as you guys love your TvP action. Of course, welcome to another Top Terran Tip Tutorial. I am your host, Nathanias, and today's game is brought to you by me, playing in the ladder before Grandmaster opened. Of course, I am Grandmaster again, as always. How could you think I wouldn't be? Today's build order that I'm going to be talking about is just one of those builds that a lot of Koreans have been doing. It's a good build. I turned the music off because I want you to hear me. But I want you guys to know this is just one of those builds that I personally didn't do all that much, and just to very, very blandly lay it out, we're going to open with a Reaper, which means, well, I don't build Reapers on this map, but we open with a 14 supply depot, 16 supply barracks, 16 supply gas, and a 16 supply or 17 supply scout. So this is Terran versus Protoss. A lot of Korean players love to use this opening. I don't do it quite the way the Koreans do because I'm bad. My skin color, I'm white. I can't help it. I'm just not that good at StarCraft. But we try. We can try, okay, guys? Because the point of life is trying to be better than we are as every day passes. So I see, okay, you went for a probe scout. But the general idea is this is a very straightforward Terran versus Protoss build. This is about as straightforward as you are going to get. There's not a lot of fanciness to this. There's not a lot of nuance to it. This has just become kind of one of the de facto openings in this game. So in this particular game, my SCV scouts and I see, okay, a Nexus is starting on, you know, it's not that long of a rush distance. Okay, I can kind of tell already that this is a very economic opening. Why? Well, his cybernetics core starts after Nexus, which means, yeah, it's about the normal standard expansion build. Secondly, I see no second gas. He's mining off of one refinery. Okay, or, you know, one assimilator, whatever. Anyway, these things all tell me this game, I don't have to worry about being attacked. So then we follow up into the build that we want to do, which is we go for, usually the way I do it is you can go for a Reaper. A lot of Koreans get the Reaper. I like to go straight for a reactor because I like having Marines out as fast as possible. So it's going to be barracks, command center, second depot. So we get the reactor going, then we get our command center, then we get our second supply depot. And a lot of this is going to be geared around being able to put pressure on in the early game while also being a bit safe in that transitional phase once we're going towards having a lot of Marines, having stim and medevacs, all the things that make Terran overpowered, like Liberators, for example. So follow-up is going to be a factory. If you really want to know the supply, it's like 24. I mean, you could use your eyes, but I do like carrying you kids. It's all good. I love teaching you guys. And I'm just going to build Marines. It's not that complicated. If you're worried about being attacked, I would say a bunker is always a smart thing to put up front. But the difference between this build and a lot of the other ones comes around here, where instead of going for a fast second gas like most people do, and some Koreans will still get the gas before they start the second barracks, but the idea is that after the factory starts, you want to get a second barracks up, and this will allow you to get stim. So you're going to get a tech lab on this barracks, and you're going to get stim on it. Now, you do want to take your second gas as soon as you can afford it. In this particular game, I see that my opponents put a pretty weird pylon. I don't think this has range to reach over here, but maybe he thought I wouldn't see it. I don't know. So I always like to play these with my vision since it helps not give too much away. So then that second gas comes in. That's a roughly like, what, 27, 26 supply. And after the factory is done, we move straight into a starport. So the reason why we're doing all of this, factory can give us widow mines. So this looks a lot like that normal type of drop build that I've discussed on my channel, on my YouTube, on my Twitch channel before as well, where you just kind of get all that stuff set up. He sends a mothership core over to scout, and naturally at the same time he sends an adept in. So dealing with pressure and harass like this is one of the things that can always make a game difficult for you. A lot of people ask me, they're like, Nate, I like doing these standard builds, but can you please help me with going over how to respond to aggressive play? How do I not die or lose a lot of workers to something like a mothership core adept poke? These are real questions that I get from you guys. So to briefly go over how I don't die in this early game to this sort of, you know, craziness, one of the most important things that you can do is remember that certain units have certain counters. I think an adept is easily stopped by these 6 Marines, but the mothership core is why I can't have the Marines fight the adept. Obviously, the adept is also much faster using the shade ability that it has. So the mothership core is going to pull away. The adept's going to show up. It's going to be like, meh, okay, let's try to get some worker kills here. And the really big thing to keep in mind, of course, I didn't start my starport. This is a mistake by me personally. But assuming that this would have been a standard game, you want to start that starport in this tech lab literally as soon as you can. There is no, oh, wait for this or wait for that. So in this game, I picked that off. Everything's good. Everything's kosher. So I'm thinking, what other aggression could I possibly have to deal with? Maybe an Oracle is going to be a problem, but you can't panic, right? And that's the most important thing. I made some mistakes in this game just by getting distracted by the aggression, and Oracle comes in and gets some work done. But in this game, I'm going to show you why you can still win these games even with a few losses. And these are the reasons why you should focus on macro. For anybody that just missed it, what just happened, I did build a Widow Mine while I was being attacked, and one of the cool things you can do is kind of tuck it behind buildings. In this game, I just put it behind my command center because even though the Widow Mine normally has like this little indentation in the ground that you can see, even if it's invisible to you, I can't really show you because I have vision of myself, if that makes any sense. But anyway, that is hidden, obviously, if you put it behind something, so you can do that. And then the laser targeting will still show up, but it's not that big of a deal. So following this up, I like to get aggressive in TvP, so I'm going to go up to 5 barracks. I want to go ham. I want to do lots of damage. I'm going to get another Widow Mine. I'm going to get more Marines out. And my stim is also coming close to completing. So that's going to be the really big focus, is getting up to enough forces that I can make some sort of attack and try to recuperate the losses that I've taken in this game. So I'm going to start a Liberator to follow it up. The Liberator is going to be purely for harass. And notice, the timing I choose to attack, this doesn't really matter. This has already been a scrappy game. If you're looking at this as I want to play like this every single game, you're already starting off behind because of the way that the openings played out. So your timings are going to be when stim's done, when you get your medevac out, because at the very least you can use stim to run away, you can use it to kill armies very quickly. So these are all things, especially having the option to retreat. That's one of the most important things in Terran versus Protoss, because if you get force fielded and you don't have a medevac, you have nothing to get your Marines out of harm's way. Now if you have a medevac, you can just load those Marines straight into the medevac, and then you're totally fine. So couple things that I do as I make a push on this map, and I look and I see, okay, well, he hasn't broken down the rocks. So let's say, well, Nate, does that really matter? Well, to be perfectly honest, if your opponent has army, say, right here or right here, and then you step here and you can't beat his army, he can break these rocks and lock you back into his base. So keep in mind just all these things. Obviously, I see his army immediately. I see it's a lot of stalkers. Stalkers aren't very good against Marines. So what I'm going to do, inch my way forward with these Widow Mines, and back home I'm getting another barracks. I'm getting a reactor using my factory while I build Liberators, because I want the starport to always be making units. You guys have to remember that in Terran versus Protoss, factory units are pretty much garbage outside of Widow Mines in the early game. You can build one Cyclone in the early game if you want, but my point is, in this phase of the game, you don't want anything that comes out of a factory. You would so much rather put your gas into Liberators or medevacs, things that actually can kill your opponent and deal real damage. That you should always use your factory to build add-ons if you need to. So I make this push. Now I see a probe that I kill here going this way, so this tells me A, he's either about to start a third base, or B, he already has a third base and he's just rallying workers to there. Now I'll turn on my map hacks for a second. Okay, he has a third base, so I'm gonna run up this ramp instead of running up this ramp, because, whoa, he's got a mothership core, 2 pylons. Obviously, if we attack into this with all of our Marines, well, we're going to lose everything. So I make this little poke, and I say to myself, you know what? I don't need to fight in this ramp of death. I burrowed my mines. I didn't see any observers. Now, he does have one, but it's not very close. So I just use these Widow Mines as a buffer. And these are the kinds of plays that you can make on a map like this. This is Ruins of Endion. And I just go straight for the third nexus. I tell myself, you know what? I'm going to kill it. I'm going to get work done. He needs to bring his observer over. He doesn't have vision. Now he does. Okay. Yeah, he'll kill the mines, but the time it takes for him to kill these mines, well, look at what's happening across the map. Oh, also, my Widow Mine killed his observer. So one of my mines is still around. And I killed the third base pretty easily. You might say to yourself, Nate, what else are you doing? Remember that Liberator that we were building? Yeah, it's going straight for his base. Behind this, we're also going to get 2 more barracks when we can afford it. Obviously, you want to build supply depots as much as possible. You want to constantly be pushing out forces. And like I said, this is just a very standard Terran vs. Protoss opening. The opening part of this game is done, so I'm not going to go in details on the build order. But you guys like it when I continue to show you the rest of the replay and explain what happens, so I will continue to do that just for you guys. So, after the third base is down, I focused down the Phoenix because they're very expensive, high priority, high cost units. Phoenix are one of the most expensive units in the game because you can build one in 27 seconds and it costs well, it costs about as much as a siege tank, a little bit less gas, but still really expensive. So these are good units to kill. It allows my medevac to stay alive. And then I go for other expensive units. Mothership Core, I try and I fail, but it's not that big of a deal. I'm just going to trade out against the Stalkers. It becomes obvious to me he doesn't have Blink, so I just kill what I can. Yeah, he gets my medevac, but, I mean, I killed his third. I killed a bunch of other stuff. I sent the Liberator to his base. I forgot to siege it. Now, think about it this way. If you think about, from your perspective, if you had sieged this for that whole fight, I would have completely cleared this mineral line. These are important things. I'm a scrub. I can't help it. I think his Mothership Core, like, he should just fly over and destroy this. Anyway, like I said, behind this, I go up to 5 barracks. I'm going to keep cranking out units. I could start a 3rd command center now. It's not a huge deal. Unfortunately, I didn't get to use my Liberator at all. But you know what? Sometimes you got to really focus on microing in the big fight, because you never know. Maybe I'll have a photon cannon there or something, and then your Liberator doesn't do anything. But general premise of follow-ups for Terran vs. Protoss. You want to round out your upgrades. Combat shield, concussive shells. And in my personal opinion, you only want to build so many medevacs. So I'm going to speed through this a little bit. We're building up some medevacs. I've got another push set out. It's going to be a good amount of Marines and Marauders. And the most important thing here is that I'm just going to try to capitalize on the damage that I already did. I know he's weakened. I know he's lost a lot. So once again, notice how I burrow the mines on the low ground. And I push up with the bio. And I just clean house. You just kill absolutely everything that's here. And at this point, following up behind this is really hard. Oh yeah, look, I sent the Liberator over this time, and it's got 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22. This Liberator literally killed every single probe at this base. Oh, and what do you know? There's a GG. So, we don't really go into a super long game here, but to be perfectly honest with you, if you are Terran and you like to play aggressively like I do against Protoss, this sort of opening and kind of attacking when you can take opportunities is really important. I play at the Grandmaster level on North America, so you might say, Nathan, this guy didn't really look like he was putting up as good of a fight as he should have. None of your opponents will put up a fight this big, so don't worry about it. Don't forget about it. It's all good. Hopefully you guys like this tutorial. Not the craziest one I've ever made, but I did think that this game was worth talking about with you. Of course, I did play this game live on my stream at twitch.tv/Nathanias. And if I do these guides simply through the support of my subscribers for $4.99 a month, you can help financially support me in doing StarCraft 2 content full time. Like I said, if you like this video, please like it. And yeah, leave any comments you have in the comments section below. And watch me do this live. Twitch.tv/Nathanias, 1 p.m. Pacific time to 9 p.m. Pacific time. I will see you guys next time.